try to get a free ride off this florist. Although the florists were a bunch of dopes, they tell you that they got their privacy deal, and yet somebody calls them up and goes, "Oh yeah, this is what it said." I mean, go figure.
All right, let's finish up this six-pack. We missed this the other day, but Brooke Astor, the New York socialite, and the daughter-in-law of John Jacob Astor, who died on the Titanic, passed away the other day at the age of 105 years old.
Yeah, go figure. Didn't you say that the oldest, was it yesterday, the oldest person in the world died at 114?
114 years old, a Japanese man died the other day. He was the oldest man in the world, according to the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah, see, Brooke Astor was born in 1902.
Yep.
And if you do the numbers here, I believe that John Jacob Astor, which I didn't know, you guys told me this, he went down on the Titanic.
1912.
You know, had a huge fortune here in New York City, which I didn't realize. This is what made this kind of fascinating to me, is when you think about Brooke Astor having been born in 1902, and, you know, that what was going on at the time. I mean, cars were just coming into being, and, you know, the changes that she saw in her life,
right.
Plus, as a socialite here in New York City, I looked at the aspect of when they said that John Jacob Astor, and I forget, you know, what his wealth was estimated at back in that time, but he was one of the richest men in New York, which I think all the really rich people in the country, I'm sure there were other cities, but a lot of them were in New York City at the turn of the century, with the industrial age just starting to come about. But his holdings, or I should say his wealth, was in real estate, and dig this, fur.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine? I mean,
he had a fortune based on fur?
Yes, and that to me is what really caught my eye, because I'm thinking, you know, back then, fur was a huge commodity that obviously, you know, you're going back up into the, you know, into Canada and Alaska, in the Northwest, and, you know, it was still basically a lot of, I don't want to say uncivilized, but still places where it was pretty wild for the most part. And, you know, this guy sitting on, like, the Hudson Bay Trading Company up in Canada and all this stuff, and he was run this huge fur company or fur industry here in New York City. So I thought it was absolutely fascinating to see that somebody's still alive from that era.
105, and I guess the 114-year-old who just died would have been born in 1893.
Yeah, that would have been about the age of my grandparents. On my mom's side, would have been about the early 1800s. I think my grandfather was born in 1892, so he would be, what, 115?
Yeah.
115? All right, Manny Acta, Nat's manager, joins the John Riggins Show when we continue.
This is the John Riggins Show.
Hey, everybody.
Tony and Michael are on the new XXX ESPN radio.
Whoa, you're sick.
PTI.
Wow, I thought you might slow down a little bit and wait till next year.
Listen.